welcome to the Whale Talk podcast. I want to say for February 2026, but it feels really weird saying February when we record this at the start of March. So today we are going to be talking about whale common and uncommon misconceptions, the Australian Snubfin Dolphin, and how do whales sleep. I'm Corone, and joining me, as ever, is a man who lives in a place where crocodiles and alligators are treated as cats and dogs, respectively. It's Fitz 4.
Hi, yeah. Everybody that moves here in their welcome package is it always includes a baby swamp puppy.
Yeah, I love how the notes technically actually is like crossed out. It actually
Mm,
now says if we ignore the annotations, treated as dogs and dogs, respectively.
mm, mm.
I don't know how that happened. I think there's there we are. There we are. We'll just accept that.
There you go. Yeah.
Because I
You
I
gotta
got them
accept
mixed up the first time round.
you gotta accept my edits.
I accepted 2 of them. I think you still got a suggestion somewhere. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
you just missed that one.
I thought I did accept that.
Yeah.
Oh, look
But
at
hey,
this
we
go.
got everybody's favorite segment, whale facts.
Oh, speaking of whale facts, well, actually not anything to do with whale facts. If you're wondering where the shark content is, actually, it was in the news video. So I'm just going to talk about very quickly. We're changing a few things with the World Talk podcast. Uh, the podcast is going to be more of a podcast now. It's going to be short. It's going to be more discussion based. Whereas we are still keeping like the news segment. We are still keeping the Orca Watch, but they're going to be more like ancillary content that goes out on the YouTube channel periodically
And
as
plus, that'll
separate
let
things.
our news coverage be more timely, get it out, you know, more
More
more quickly
media
after things
based as
happen.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So our favorite segment of every podcast, whale facts. So these are whale facts that are painfully obvious that you didn't even realize they were a thing. So our first whale fact for today is that a spinner dolphin, a striped dolphin, and a common dolphin have never walked into a bar. Dum-bum. I was gonna wait until you did like a fake laugh there. As long as it would have taken.
Well, it
Did
didn't take
you
long.
did you know that whales make the biggest splashes of any animal?
Okay, so
Oh no. Oh no,
I'm just
debunking. Debunking.
I
Oh no.
just I just feel like that there's some potential here because like have you ever seen an elephant crash into water?
Yeah, but a humpback whale is bigger than an elephant.
But does it displace as much water?
Well, yeah, it's heavier and more massive. I'd imagine so.
Hmm, interesting. I don't know. I have to think about that one. And
Because
also like,
an elephant
well,
would have to get
okay.
some verticality.
No, you know what? Nope, nope. I have the answer. Whales have not made the biggest splashes of any animal. Humans have
Oh
through nuclear
gosh.
bomb testing.
Ow.
Think of all the underground
Yeah, but that
or
doesn't
underwater
count.
nuclear testing we did down
Doesn't
in was it
count.
Bikini Atoll? That counts. We are animals. You said of
It's
any
tool use.
animal,
Oh,
of any animal. That whale fact debunked.
ladies and gentlemen, we have lost all credibility when we cannot even deal the most obvious of whale facts as facts.
Ah,
Speaking of obvious, did you know that the best place to see Amazon River dolphins is in the middle of a rainforest?
yeah, in fact, isn't
Think
it
about it.
like there's a specific city?
Yeah, there is actually. See, it's an intersection between two parts of the Amazon rainforest, the Amazon River. Um, hang on.
And it is, in fact, in the middle of the rainforest.
City. Okay, Amazon River City. Uh, Amazon Rainforest City. Manukau, I think it's called. I think that's how you pronounce it. Manukau.
That sounds close, yeah.
Yeah, it's quite literally in the middle of the rainforest. It's on several branches of the Amazon River, and it is supposedly the most, probably the best place to actually see Amazon River dolphins in the world. It also hosted uh, it also was one of the host cities for the 2014 World Cup, um, and one of the
Hmm,
hosts for the 2016 Summer Olympics,
nice.
according to Wikipedia.
According to Wikipedia.
It's also the seventh largest city in Brazil, which is that's quite big. I
Mhm.
mean, Brazil's got some big cities. So now you wanted a bonus whale fact here because
Yeah.
of something that actually we're not even covering in this podcast because I've covered it in Whale Talk, which is already recorded but will be released after today, I guess.
Well, that just means you can drop this clip into that video.
Maybe we'll see, we'll see. But I've also mentioned it in a news video that went out this week. Uh, so okay, this is the well fact, the bonus well fact. Did you know that in most jurid
Jurisdictions.
in the world, whales and dolphins are not required to file a birth certificate? Why did I blank on
Mhm.
that word?
It's a weird one.
I don't like saying an S and a D next to each other.
Jurisdictions.
Jurisdiction. Yeah. Thank you.
There you go, you
This is
got it.
this is why I have a co-host. Okay. So we've got some interesting topics. Well, mostly an interesting topic. It's a bit of a big topic.
Yeah. Yeah, this is
So
where not to spoil, too much here, but you've, covered most of the serious
I
portion of
went
it,
off.
and then
I went
I'll
off on
have the
this one.
little bit of silly portion at the end.
Oh yeah, we got a jokey portion. By the way, do feel free to interrupt me midway through any of this.
Always.
And those in chat, those that are watching this live, feel free to pose your questions in chat as well, and we will respond to them as soon as we can. So, our first segment today is actually going to be common and uncommon misconceptions about whales and dolphins. So, what are things that people think they know about whales and dolphins but are actually wrong? What are some of the more common ones and what are some of the more niche ones? Let me interrupt you here, add Steerfits. Okay. Okay.
At
I
that
feel
point in the notes.
I feel like I'm gonna be leading into something here. So our first one is whales are not fish.
Whales are friends.
Is that literally why you were gonna interrupt me?
Yeah, that's it, I just wanted to be
Uh,
able to make the joke. It's from
well,
Finding Nemo, when fish are friends, with the sharks.
fish are not food, they're friends.
Mhm.
I did think the same thing. I did think the same thing when I was writing this, honestly. So, okay, so whales are not fish. And this may seem like a very obvious one. So, with the very obvious ones, we're also going to kind of explain a little bit extra. So, how can you tell what's a whale and what's a fish? Honestly, the easiest way is the tail. And I'm going to kind of explain a little bit of like evolutionary biology here, where we see why the tails are different. So, a marine mammal tail will always be horizontal. That is, like sea-going, aquatic-going mammals actually use the tail as propulsion. So these tails, which we also call flukes, tail flukes, will be in a horizontal position, whereas a fish's tail fin, will always be vertical. Now, the reason for this is because a fish has evolved in water over millions of years, never left water. They've evolved where their body structure is used to going side to side. That's the more efficient mode of transport within water. The thing with mammals, and particularly whales and dolphins, is that they evolved from the water to live on land. Their ancestors lived on land. And with land animals, if you think of like a cheetah, for instance, you think how a cheetah moves. A cheetah will move on all four limbs, and those limbs will come together and then like spring, and then they'll kind of pull apart, and then that's kind of how the cheetah's moving. So this means that the spinal column is constantly flexing in an up and down motion to accommodate the limbs. Now, whales have evolved from mammals that lived on land, and because this form of movement is more optimal for land-based mammals, pretty much all land-based mammals. Um, this is kind of how the spinal column of marine mammals is adapted. So, because of that, they've got a spinal column that goes up and down, like bends up and down, rather than side to side. So, the large surface areas, which are the tail flukes, have to actually be in a horizontal position for them to really get a decent amount of movement in the water. And we see this with cetaceans. We also see this with pinnipeds. We also see them with this with dugongs, manatees. Not so much with things like otters because they don't use their tail as propulsion as much.
Yep. Beavers, though.
Beavers do have a flat tail.
Yep. Yeah, and they move their tail up and down.
Yeah, and it's all to do with how they move on land. So other potential examples of animals that have lived on land are things like, well, I mean, you're familiar with a couple of them over in Florida. So so Gio, have you ever seen a crocodilian run on land?
Oh yeah, I've seen plenty of alligators running around.
So how do they move when they run?
They kind of wiggle back and forth.
So they're going from a side to side motion even on land.
Yeah.
So this is a perfect example of why crocodilians also use a side to side motion in the water as well. Same with snakes as well. Like they do side to side.
Yep. Water moccasins.
Yeah. So if you've ever wondered why does a whale have a horizontal tail and why does a fish have a vertical tail? This is why.
Evolution.
Evolution. We can explain so much stuff just with the word evolution.
Hmm.
Also, by the way, I noticed in your funny notes you did mention about whales swallowing you, and I think we do have one in the series bit
Oh,
about
well,
kind
then
of.
you can skip over that one then.
I mean, we can just say okay, so we can talk about our next common misconception is that whales can't swallow you. Well, I mean, the misconception is that people think that they can.
Yep. A lot of people have heard the story of Jonah and the whale, and this has become a common misconception, especially since that story is very commonly taught to young children. So we grow up with that belief. However, in his belly, you will find a new definition of pain and suffering as you are slowly digested over 1,000 years.
Um, wait, what?
Oh wait, that's the Sarlacc.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's something else.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it still would be a new definition of pain and suffering, I think.
I mean, when I think
You
of
just
someone, sorry, go ahead.
I was just you might be digested a little quicker than 1,000 years.
Yeah, when I think of like someone being swallowed by a whale, I don't know why my brain just comes to Pinocchio,
I don't think I've actually
the
watched
Disney
Pinocchio since I was a
Pinocchio.
child. Yeah, like I've definitely seen it a bunch of times as a kid, but I probably have not seen it in at least 30 years.
I never understand why Geppetto got eaten by a whale. Like, why was he even at sea?
I don't know. Is it an allegory to Jonah and the whale?
I think it must be. But yeah, a whale cannot swallow you. So a blue whale's throat is about the size of a basketball. Because they don't need to be big on that. They eat very small prey. They eat krill. Some of these baleen whales eat uh, small fish. They don't have to be bigger than that. So a whale cannot actually swallow you. However, I cannot guarantee that the act of being eaten by a whale is very pleasant for the whale because if you've ever had fish and you've had like bones, and if it's kind of like not really that nice to have like bones in fish.
Unless you're built to digest them or crush them, and yeah.
I mean, actually, yeah, there's like, well, I never thought about that. Orcas must really hate fish with their bones.
Mm, or maybe they just crush them.
They just maybe they just dissolve them.
Or if the
Stomach
bones are
acid,
fine enough if the bones are fine enough, it might not even be an issue.
maybe. So our next a common misconception is to do with the size of blue whales. Now, blue whales are known as the largest animal to ever live on the face of the earth. But largest animal is a very subjective term. Um, you have to consider what is what is the definition of largest. When we talk about the largest animal on Earth, we refer to it by weight mostly. So, blue whales can grow up to 190 tons, which no animal comes even close. I think fin whales top out at about 100 tons, but blue whales are not the longest animal to ever live. They're not even the longest animal that live currently. Uh, some dinosaurs that lived were actually longer than a blue whale. There's some that have been over 30 meters. These are sauropods with their long tails and their long heads. But there's also some invertebrates that are longer than blue whales. There's some jellyfish, and I think there's something else.
Potentially
It's
some deep sea squid, like
yeah,
giant squid. Um, and also, like, one of the things I was thinking about while you talked through that is, there's very possibly and potentially even whales that are, now extinct and that we will never know about because, like we talked about whale falls, right? And
oh yeah,
how in those environments, we did find microbes that actually will eat away, the bones, given enough time. So how many whale falls of, extinct, mega giant species that could have dwarfed the blue whales died out at sea, sank to the bottom, and even if their bones were still there, we would never find.
the only ones we would be able to find are those that washed up on the shore, those that stranded, or those
Yeah,
which had a body that washed up on shore. Which
yep. And of course, if we're talking about a whale, like an early whale that, existed, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of years ago, you know, that didn't happen in human time.
it could even be some whales that we end up finding in the Sahara Desert, for all we know.
Yeah, you never know.
I think was the Sahara Desert not a water mass
Mm,
at some point?
I don't. I don't remember. I mean, the
That
weird one is finding like human civilization stuff at the bottom of the Mediterranean because the Mediterranean used to not be a
yeah,
ocean. Like basically, because basically, where Gibraltar and Morocco meet, or the strait there used to be closed in, and it used to be dry in there, and then when it finally eroded through, then we had Mediterranean. So I know that, like, actually right off the coast of France, there's a few different cave sites where you can go and you can dive down. I think it's less than 100 feet down to the entrance, but you can go in and there's still like air pockets inside, and like they've done like archaeological studies, in there because there's these, prehistoric, human, activity in there from a time when the sea was, much lower. It's pretty cool.
it's crazy to think, given how deep the Mediterranean is as well.
Hmm.
Because the Mediterranean is like you got sperm whales going like it's so the abyssal zone is around 1,000 meters, if I'm not mistaken. I think there's parts of the Mediterranean that are considered part of the abyssal zone.
Yeah, because
I
I
think I
think
go down to 3,000 meters, Mediterranean.
uh looks like the maximum depth is 5,000 meters in the Calypso deep. But the average depth is like 1,500 meters, which is 4,900 feet, so
Mm.
almost a mile
So
for the average depth.
I remember when I was on the boat with Tethys Research Institute. They did mention something about 3,000 meters during the part of the sea that they were going to be uh, sailing over.
Yep.
And we actually, when we saw the sperm whale, the only sperm whale I've seen in my life, we listened to it on the hydrophone, and there was a long time between where you stop hearing the clicks and when it actually surfaces. But you know it's going to surface because you stop hearing the clicks, which is kind of
Hmm.
interesting because that means it doesn't echolocate on its way up.
Yeah. Hmm. Interesting.
It's also amazing to hear how far that echolocation travels.
Yeah.
Although this is the animal with the biggest melon.
Hmm. Oh, also as a point of reference, when we were talking about the depths there, the Gulf of Mexico is around the same, where its average is around 1,600 meters, and the deepest is a little over 5,000 meters. So very similar depths in the Gulf of Mexico as in the Mediterranean.
See, that's kind of interesting, um, with regards to rice whales as well, because I think rice whales have only been recorded going like a few hundred meters deep.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's the kind of weird thing of the Gulf of Mexico is it's an abyssal plain, so it's very flat. But like there's you have a fairly large chunk, from the west coast of Florida that is like a higher plateau that stretches out quite a long ways before it drops off to the deeper, and then it's that way almost all the way across to Texas and Mexico.
Yeah, if we could
So
pull up a satellite image right now.
I wonder if the rice whales are congregated along that drop off, which the drops I think are at around 1,000 feet or so is when it drops, which would be feet and meters. Uh, about 300 meters.
Was that out to sea?
For depth.
Okay,
Like before you get the big drop off. You're probably talking about, like 300, like, probably 200 to 300 meters when you get to the big drop-offs, so I could definitely see the rice whale, range being right there out at the edge of the continental shelf, basically.
yeah.
So,
Huh.
but I'd have to look at it, but, I mean, also, we don't have a whole lot of information either, so, you know.
Yeah, it's a very small population, and it's a species that doesn't live anywhere else in the world. So data is quite literally limited to those 36 individuals that we know about.
Yep.
So our next common misconception, I'm going to say common misconception on this one, because I've honestly heard this quite a lot. Whale sharks. Oh, look, we've got shark content.
Hey, here we go. Shark
Yay!
content. Shark content, shark content. Pay attention if you love
Yeah,
sharks now.
whale sharks are sharks. That was your shark content. You know, that's okay. We've got to marker that. So, whale sharks are sharks that have a calm demeanor, just like whales. In evolutionary terms, the last common ancestor between whale sharks and whales. Actually, you've probably seen. Have you seen this in the notes or not?
I haven't read it, no.
Okay. Do you want to take a wild guess? How many millions of years ago the last common ancestor between whale sharks and whales was?
Okay, let me ask this. When did the dinosaurs go extinct?
65 million years ago.
65 million? But sharks are older than that. Let's go 200 million.
It's more than that.
Oh, how many is it?
383 million years ago was the last common ancestor between whale sharks and whales. It's
That's a long time.
because
Did we have dinosaurs then?
no, we didn't even have
Oh, okay.
dinosaurs yet.
So we're
So,
pre-dinosaur. Got it.
yeah. So, this is because elasmobranchs split off from fish like way back then. If you looked at like an evolutionary tree, like you got a bunch of stuff like sponges, things like that. Like you got bilateral as well. That's quite high up. Uh, but then under the chordata, which are the vertebrates, elasmobranchs are one of the first to branch off, and then you've got fish, and then the fish then evolves, split into um, birds and reptiles, and then mammals and amphibians split off somewhere as well. I can't remember where amphibians split off, but under the reptiles and birds, that's kind of when the dinosaurs started appearing. Because a lot of people will know that some dinosaurs are more closely related to birds, but then when we talk about dinosaurs, a lot of them are also reptiles, such as pterosaurs are flying reptiles. And then we've got aquatic reptiles, which are also referred to as dinosaurs sometimes, but then some people say, oh no, they're not dinosaurs, they're reptiles. Dinosaur is a very loose term, let's be honest. But the reason why there's quite a
Uh-huh.
lot of confusion the reason why there's quite a lot of confusion is because archosaurs, which are birds, they're like birds and reptiles. They're the split off point. They're very closely related. So we call like alligators and like a peacock are quite closely related in terms of time since they branched off from each other. They're actually closer related to each other than either are to snakes, for instance. But this is where whale sharks, being elasmobranchs, which elasmobranchs are the type of fish that have cartilaginous bones rather than actual like bones. And this includes all sharks and all ray species. Whereas mammals are some of the latest to evolve, and cetaceans, I don't remember exactly when cetaceans branched off, but cetaceans have gone through a lot of evolutionary confusion, let's just say. Although could be worse. You could be a hippopotamus. That, can we talk about how confused hippopotamuses are for just 1 second?
You wanna
So
know how confused they are? There's one that's an honorary citizen of the state of Florida.
there's a story. There's a story.
There is a story.
Okay, tell the story.
So I can't remember his name, but he is at the Withlacoochee State Park. It used to be a, tourist attraction that was like kind of part zoo, part water show. I think they did mermaid things there. Plus they had a little like a let's call it a river cruise through a canal from like the welcome center to the actual park itself. But they ended up we're losing money, and as like a lot of these kind of tourist places have happened, especially in like the 70s, the state ended up stepping in and buying them and turning them into state parks, which, is a great thing because it keeps maintaining them as tourist attractions. But the problem is that Florida state law prohibited the state from owning a hippopotamus. Um, like, I don't remember what the exact regulation was, but to get around it, the governor decreed the hippo an honorary citizen of the state of Florida, granting him residency rights and therefore making it legal for him to remain living at the park for the rest of his life.
That's kind of funny, and also
Yep.
kind of cool as well.
Yep. And now he lives in the park. They have a watch out for hippo poop spray signs all around his pen. The next pen over, there's a bunch of big old gators, and they also have usually, I think it's 4 to 6, manatees that are permanent residents because they, were, like, injured, can't be released, but because they have a spring there, it's a place that manatees come when it's cold, so it's a nice place for them to live, and, like, they have a separate pen so they can keep them separate from the wild ones, but, like, when it's warm, they close the outside of, fences, and they'll let the manatee swim around in the water by the spring, and it's really cool to see them.
Hmm. So so hippos I'm pretty confused.
Mm.
So but by the way, I literally did not know how to transition from that. I don't know if you might have noticed or not.
Oh, would you like a hippo fact?
Go on then.
You know that hippos kill more people in Africa every year than lions?
Oh, I did know about that.
Yeah, hippos are
Yeah,
aggressive. I
hippos
also
are one of the
saw
most dangerous animal on the planet to humans.
yep. I also saw an absolutely amazing video of and it was I think it was a female lion or it may have been a cheetah even that was chasing a hippo that was up on land. And as a defense mechanism, the uh hippo now and I don't know if you know this, but when hippos defecate, they like wag their tail around so that it sprays. And he, let loose on the run,
Oh my
and
god.
the cheetah stopped and, like, turned back towards where the camera was, and you could see his just entire face and, like, the belly was just
Oh,
covered in hippo poop, and
nice.
it looked like not good. It did not look good.
Poor cheetah. I mean, that cheetah's not
Right.
going to chase another hippo again.
N No, I don't think so. He learned his lesson.
You know, from an evolutionary point of view, hippos are the weirdest animal because so they came from the sea, then they evolved to live on land,
Mhm,
and then those land animals evolved to live back in the sea,
mhm.
and then hippos evolved from them to live on land again. And now what do? They decide to
They
spend most of their time in the water.
Yep.
Like, make up your mind. They're as much an oddity as platypus, which we're not going to get into the whole oddities of platypus there. But you know, we were talking about whale sharks a while ago. I'm gonna get back
Mhm.
onto the topic of whale sharks.
Yeah, I think we have one, killer whales.
Oh, actually, we're not even finished with whale sharks yet because I was going to talk about
Oh, are we?
convergent evolution.
We still have whale sharks. Okay,
Yeah.
let's get to that. I love that topic actually.
Yes. So the fact that whale sharks have so many similarities to actual whales um, is potentially like there's an argument that this is convergent evolution. Um, it's not the strongest case of this, but so what convergent evolution is when two different groups of animals will separately from each other evolve into similar kinds of animals that occupy similar niches, have similar
A,
properties
sim-
to each other.
a similar form.
Yeah. So probably the best example of this is the fact that hermit crabs are not actually true crabs.
Mhm.
And when it comes to crabs, this is a process called carcinization. And the theory is that everything, given enough time, will evolve into some variant of a crab.
Mhm. Yep. The crab is the most efficient life form that we have on Earth. And like
Huh,
and there's been like what like 4 or 5 separate times that something has evolved into a crab.
yeah. Like we even have what's called a horseshoe crab,
Oh,
which
yep. We
that
have them here.
that thing has not evolved in like hundreds of millions of years.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy too is like that they I know that there is a small commercial market for them, and apparently there's like something in their blood that they use for like pharmaceutical work. Like I don't know what the exact like details are of it, but like They're really cool animals, but they're a little bit scary when you're a kid.
Oh yeah, they're kind of like they're kind of a little bit like spiders when you lift them up, or
Yeah,
scorpions actually.
well, and okay, so a lot of my early memories of running into horseshoe crabs are while I'd be out fishing with my dad and I'd be wandering off, and a lot of times when the tide went out, you'd get a horseshoe crab that would have gotten turned over and be on its back, and it'd just be kind of waiting for the water to come back in to like reactivate. But like I can't tell you how many times I was just trying to walk by one that was on its back like that, and it just lifted its tail straight up into the air with no warning and scared the crap out of me, and I went running. No, I do not. I'm like they're cool animals, but like I keep my distance. I know they're not dangerous, but
Yeah.
they scared me as a kid.
So speaking of mythological creatures, we also have another common mis. I don't know if this is a common misconception, but I asked in a particular whale and dolphin related Discord of like what are things that you've learnt about recently about whales and dolphins. I I'm not gonna name names, but one person said that they learnt that narwhals exist and that they're not mythical.
And I think this is one of those ones that like I think you could still put down as a common misconception, but a common misconception that's probably going away because I think among the younger generations, because narwhals have been kind of a meme, that
Yeah,
there's more awareness of narwhals, in among the younger people. And so I think that the level of common misconception for this one's gonna go down over time.
yeah. So narwhals are real animals, and they're
Very
most
real.
closely related to beluga whales. Now, how much have I stirred up by calling them beluga whales, Joe?
Yeah.
That's fun. Given our next one, so our next common misconception, and this is a really common misconception. So killer whales or orcas are both whales and dolphins at the same time. Now, most people will know by now that orcas are actually the largest member of the dolphin family. So when you say that they're whales, people are like, no, they're not whales, they're dolphins. So all whales, dolphins, and porpoises are split into two groups. One is called baleen whales, one is called toothed whales. So toothed whales include the sperm whale, dolphins, porpoises, river dolphins, belugas, narwhals, and beaked whales. Whereas baleen whales include things such as the blue whale, humpback whale, grey whale, or like the fin whale.
All of our big mouth guys.
Yes. And there's an enormous difference between the two. I did actually cover this in the first episode of the podcast that we ever did. This is actually before Gio came onto the podcast. Um, but if you want me to cover it again in future, put in chat, put in the comments in YouTube. Um, if you want to hear me cover this again. So because this differentiation, dolphins are actually technically considered toothed whales,
Mm, mm,
which means in taxonomical terms they are whales. Now, with this context, the term whale is used very very context specific. It's like if if you're talking with experts that know orcas are dolphins, people are going to refer to them as whales because mostly they're referred to as whales because killer whales. People just say whales. This isn't
mhm.
incorrect to actually call them a whale. It's not factually incorrect to call orcas whales. It's not even factually incorrect to call a bottlenose dolphin a whale. Uh, because Well, we have a saying, Geo.
Yep, I'm ready.
On three,
All
one, two, three. All
all
dolphins are.
dolphins are whales,
That
but
didn't
not
work out,
all
did it?
whales are dolphins.
All dolphins are whales, but not all whales are
All whales
dolphins.
are dolphins. Yeah, you just
Wow.
have to not listen to each other. Also, I wanna go to good something that I wanna call out here. And you said in your notes here, the use of whale and dolphin in English language is all subjective. And I think something that's also important in this, and this could probably be a whole discussion point for a podcast in the future. So if this interests you, make sure you comment down below and tell us. But one of the things that's really important in word choice is understanding who your audience is. If you are writing a peer review research paper, you're going to use much more precise terminology. You're going to use the Latin names. You're going to do all of that, by the book, where you're completely clear
Yeah,
and everything of what you're saying.
you'll barely be
When
mentioning whale or dolphin.
Yeah, but when you are interacting with the public, it's important for you to, use the words more in the way that people understand them. Because if are calling a dolphin a whale, most people aren't gonna understand that. So if you're giving a talk to, say, a group of elementary school students, you're going to want to put it into terms that they'll understand, in a frame that they'll understand. So that communication is really important in understanding your audience and how you use your language.
Typically, the way people refer to dolphins will all just be aesthetics. It'll be a visual thing. Like bottlenose dolphin, that's a dolphin. Like a river dolphin, that's a dolphin.
Hmm.
A beaked whale, that's a whale. An orca, that's a whale. Like people won't refer to orcas as dolphins. I
Yeah.
mean, they'll refer to them as orcas.
The human brain also wants to sort and categorize things by pattern. So things that look similar, even if they're completely, unrelated, like something that looks like a spider, looks like it has a bunch of legs, looks like the right kind of shape and look. People are going to call it a spider, even if it's actually, some other kind of insect that just kind of
Like a
looks like a
dronefly.
spider.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now, all that being said, it's not untrue that orcas are actually the largest species in the oceanic dolphin family. Now, it's important to mention dolphin family because the word family in this context is a technical taxonomic term. They are actually the largest species in the oceanic dolphin family. So toothed whales have six families underneath it. As we covered earlier, these are sperm whales, belugas, narwhals, um, porpoises, beaked whales, oceanic dolphins, and river dolphins. So it is equally as correct to call orcas dolphins as to call them whales. And yeah, as we mentioned, the most important thing is to read them, like and think about who you're speaking to. Or you could just use the you could just use what a lot of people use and just call them by their Latin species name, which is actually orca. That's funny that one of the most common ways of referring to orcas is quite literally a Latin species name. And
Yeah,
I
O
think a
dot
lot of
orca.
people don't realize that.
Yeah, because and when you shorthand it to just O dot orca.
Or Sinus orca, if you're
Yeah.
wondering what the actual species name, what the actual genus species name is. The Orthinus is actually their genus name. The species is orca, which is actually kind of interesting because they're a genus with only one species for now.
Mm.
now,
Yep, until we
categorizing
start,
them.
splitting off subspecies and then fully speciesizing them, which may happen over time.
I think from what I've read, like subspecies, some some scientists that will refer to them as their subspecies now are now referring to them as Orcinus orca atta, and
Mhm.
when referring to resident orcas. So it's just like an extra word added on after the species.
Yeah.
So also speaking about this differentiation between different types of whales is you may actually be forgiven to think that all whales and dolphins echolocate. This is actually incorrect. All toothed whales will echolocate, but baleen whales are incapable of echolocation due to missing the melon. The melon is the large organ that sits forward of the brain, and the best example, well, the best I would say there's two really easy examples here. Think of a sperm whale and think of everything that sits at the front of that head. That's all melon. Also, think of a beluga. That squishy bit on its forehead, that's the melon.
Forehead of a bottlenose dolphin.
Yep. Or even an orca.
Mm.
So
They got big old foreheads. They got 5 heads.
so speaking of having a big head, um, blue whales do not actually have the largest brain. Sperm whales do. And orcas have the second largest brain in the animal kingdom. Now, I was wondering, like, how do these stack up in terms of size of the brain compared to body ratio? And then I found I found while I was looking this up, what animal does actually have the highest ratio of its body being its brain? Have you seen this in the notes, Jira?
Yeah, I have, and it also does not surprise me one
Okay.
bit.
Yeah, I mentioned after this. This does not surprise me. It's actually a species of ant.
Yeah. And, like, I think ants also, like, hit that for, like, strength to body weight ratio as well. Like,
Ants are
ants
spectacular.
yeah, ants really are amazing, creatures and just there's a, really good storytelling YouTuber, Ants Canada that I watch,
Oh, I've
and,
seen
like,
some of his videos.
yeah, he's a little dramatic, but he is a good storyteller, and, like, the terrariums and vivariums that he's done, are especially now, are absolutely amazing because it's just, like, he's basically just turning his whole house into a giant, vivarium and has, like, 4 or 5 different, climates that are connected together. It's a really a work of art, uh, putting it together, and I can't imagine maintaining that, but yeah,
So
ants are cool.
I think the real intelligence factor of ants isn't so much what the brain of one ant can do, but
Mhm,
it's their social intelligence, their pooled intelligence,
yeah,
because they kind of imagine think of it as like they work as like a bit of a hive mind without actually being a hive mind.
mhm.
Like a colony of ants, the intelligence of all those ants will be kind of combined. So we
I actually kinda like to think of it as almost like a CPU. Right, where it's actually a ton of, tiny switches, 0, 1 switches, right? And so every ant is one of those 0, 1 switches. So by itself, it doesn't do a whole lot, but you put all of the inputs together and they do it. That was the visualization that came to my mind.
yeah, it's a good way of describing that. So got a couple more. Uh, the second to last one that I have, I know you've got some after,
Mm. Mm.
and they're not in the same vein as mine.
Ah, a
We
little
could say.
sillier.
Uh, so when you see a whale or dolphin jumping in the water, breaching or doing other surface behaviors, a lot of people assume that they're playing. While this is sometimes the case, this is definitely not always the case. So they can use tail slaps, which is a form of communication because it creates a slapping percussive sound. Um, Jumping can also be used whilst hunting prey. Spy hopping can be used to see what's above the surface of the water. And the Antarctic orcas use this to see if there's a seal on ice before they start wave washing it. And there's also another behavior called porpoising, which is when they swim really fast, jump out of the water repeatedly in a forward fast motion. And this is used to travel quickly. So you see them come out of the water, doesn't always mean that they're playing. Look to see if there's something else that's in the water with them. And the last one that I've got is that when you're looking for whales, when you're whale watching, you won't always hear a whale before you see it. Now, sound does travel much faster and much further underwater than in air. Sometimes the whales just don't feel like speaking. This happens. Okay. Now, Geo has a few here.
Yeah, since Carvona's gone ahead and hit most of the more serious misconceptions, let's move on to some of the sillier misconceptions. All right. First one up, we got dolphins are basically the golden retrievers of the ocean. While it is true that they can be helpful and playful, and like golden retrievers, they sure do freaking love the water. They can also be quite the jerks. They routinely bully fishermen off the best fishing spots by stealing their fish off the lines and scaring fish away.
Poor fisherman.
Mhm. Uh, Next one, whales are just enormous, slow cows of the sea. And I'm just going to go, that's incorrect. Manatees are the slow cows of the sea. Next, whales are basically giant sea submarines. Okay. That one's actually kind of true.
see, I love this because I saw this. I saw this, and I'm like, oh, Geo, you're actually onto something.
Yeah, because I mean, like, well, you think about it, because submarines, no submarine could ever, stay submerged forever. They always must come up at some point. Now, diesel submarines are a little bit closer of a comparison to, to a whale because they can only stay down as long as their batteries, and then they need to come up for breath to run their diesel engines, and so that's just like a whale. Nuclear subs, little different, but they still have to come up at some point for air.
See,
So,
I also think of whales as barnacle buses as well.
yeah, they're also barnacle buses. And, yeah, that's all I got.
Oh yeah, because we already covered the Sarlacc.
Yeah.
That
Yep,
was out. That was out there.
we already did the Sarlacc joke. We were good there.
Have to always hit those jokes.
Mhm.
Oh dear. Okay, so we have a question. So we have a question
Alright.
today. And the issue is that you asked something after and I did not research it.
I know. But it's a good one, isn't it?
So we got a question, and that's how do different cetaceans sleep? Now, I didn't go too in depth about this. So the basic principle is that cetaceans will shut off one half the brain at a time because they need to always be conscious. They are conscious breathers, so they always have to be awake to be able to breathe in some capacity. So they do a technique which is called unihemispheric slow wave sleeping. which is a fancy term for saying they shut off portions of their brain for a period of time. Um, so this leads to some interesting sleeping patterns. So orcas, for example, when they sleep, they'll stay at the surface, and this is called logging because they look like a log. And they get about. I love the statistic for this, by the way, because this is so like we don't really know as you can get.
Mhm.
They get around 1 to 6 hours of sleep throughout the day in small rest sessions through the
And
day and night.
I wonder if that's really just can be, seasonal or day-to-day variance. Because I would think okay, so if it was, like, a period where there's not as much hunting to do, they're gonna sleep more. You
Yeah.
know, right? They're gonna conserve their energy more. So you could see on those kind of days they're gonna get that 6 hours. But when it's the salmon run and it's all yeah, it's time to fill up. Yeah, I ain't sleeping. Like I've done that on a fishing trip. I've been where it's like I should really sit down and like rest for like 15 minutes, but no, I got to keep fishing. It happens.
I also think the 1 to 6 hour variance is also partially the fact that we just like we would have to be in constant observation of them to be able to
Mhm.
determine how much sleep they get in a given day.
Also, can you really even determine when, how accurately can you determine when they're actually asleep? Because, it's like, like I don't know if you've ever
With orcas, you
experienced like
can.
micro sleep. hmm
Yeah,
Like, have you ever experienced like micro sleep?
yeah.
Like, it's really weird, but it's like I actually get that a lot when I'm like really tired and coming in from a fishing trip. It's a weird experience, but the time goes much faster.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. But so you also okay, so you asked like how do we like can we be certain that we know? With orcas, it's quite obvious. Because they have very set kind of definitions of activity. So they've got hunting, they've got playing, they've also got traveling, also got logging, and all of these are very much distinct. Um, and you can tell what they're doing. Like traveling is like they're not fussing around; they're going from point A to point B. Um, Playing is when they're kind of just not really going anywhere.
hmm
Uh, Hunting, particularly with big orcas, is a lot more different because it's a lot clearer because they are being stealthy. They're typically very quiet when
hmm
they're hunting as well. Logging is when they're just simply at the surface and not moving. Um, Now, another very interesting cetacean species, sleep-wise, are sperm whales. Now, I think some people may know that sperm whales actually sleep vertically in the water. Most people probably don't know that sperm whales only sleep 7% of the day in 10 to 15-minute power naps, which actually makes them one of the species on the planet that gets the least amount of sleep of
Hmm.
any animal. So,
Well, I've known some people like that, but not very many.
I mean, I'm one of them.
Yeah, I know. Like you, like I know. So I'm really jealous of you being able to like operate on like 5 hours of sleep every night.
Oh, okay, so funny you should say that. In just over 2 weeks from now, um, I'll be staying up to watch a um, presentation by Orca Behavior Institute. Um, Thankfully, due to daylight savings and the weird thing that's going to be at 2 a.m. for me, not 3 a.m.
Nice. So you
I'm
save an
at
hour.
work. I'm at work at 8 a.m. in the morning, so that's that's gonna be a very interesting, like, jigsaw puzzle of sleep schedule. Sleep a little bit
Yep.
before, get up, watch
Mhm.
it, and then sleep after.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hopefully sleep after.
it's gonna be a jigsaw puzzle.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, so sperm whales actually sleep vertically. Now, this isn't actually due to choice. So sperm whales, when they sleep, they will go into really, really like low power mode. Uh, to where they won't even make an effort to stay upright. And due to the natural buoyancy of their bodies, their head being filled with more like oily liquids, which are less dense than the flesh on like the tails, for instance, their body's
Mhm.
natural floating position is actually upright. So that's why they kind of just default into this position. And they also start sinking into the water, further down
Mm.
into the water column.
Yeah, that's a really nice, evolution, thing, right? Of, like, I'm just perfectly balanced to just float and still be able to breathe, and,
Yeah.
like, because then even if you're not sleeping, you are just at complete rest. You are using the minimum, energy,
The the
like.
other the other thing with sperm whales is, and I did think that this might have been the case, is that their blowhole is actually very far forward
Mm.
on their head as well.
And that's probably because of how their buoyancy, um, like, in
Probably
center of
is.
mass, like, evolved over time. Because
Well,
you think
it's
of, if you because the further forward there that the blowhole moved, the more body could be in the water that doesn't have to be supported.
it could be due to that, but it could also be due to the fact that the air that's passed through the blowhole is used in the melon
Mhm,
to create sound.
mhm.
So that might actually be why the blowhole's further forward as well. Um, Now you did ask a further question here is, how does their sleep differ from other sea mammals, especially seals and sea lions?
Yeah, and I asked this because very specifically, I recently saw a video from an aquarium of seals, sleeping, and how they, like, basically they just become little, like, bowling pins, and they just kind of fall down to the bottom and just kind of lay down, and then every once in a while they perk up and they go up and they take a little breath and they're upright, and then they just sink back to the bottom and they're down on their side again.
So they will be conscious breathers as well. So I'll have to look this up. I was under the impression that seals slept on land.
Mm.
I don't know why. I was under that impression, which possibly is the case sometimes.
Yeah, maybe it's a they do both. That's very possible. Could just
Yeah,
depends on their, circumstances. But I mean, that does seem to suggest, having that unihemispheric, sleep where they're keeping one half of their brain active, and so they're always alert.
yeah. By the way, this is the same kind of thing that fish actually have. This is kind of convergent evolution,
Mhm.
particularly sharks that need to keep swimming to stay
Yeah.
alive. That's the big one.
Yeah, I think there's some tuna that are like that as well, that they also have to constantly be moving.
Yeah. So we'll go on to the last segment of today, and that is the lesser known species. We've actually kind of been making kind of good timing today, if if not a little bit over what we're planned, but won't be too much over. So we're going to talk about the Australian Snubfin Dolphin, which apparently Gio wanted to learn about.
Yeah, once again, like, every month, I try to kinda go through, I go to a wiki or I go to the WDC, website, and I just kind of will go down the taxonomical trees and just kinda look and see, like, I don't know, what's something I haven't heard of and I haven't heard Cravone mention, that'll be something interesting, and so for this month, we came across the Australian Snubfin Dolphin.
So, one thing that I liked about this was the Latin name, uh, because they have the word orca in their genus name. So, already I'm happy. I think it's Orcala or something like that. I don't actually have that written on my notes. I think it's that. Um, so I believe these are yes. Okay, so these were once thought to be a population of the Irrawaddy dolphin, which are one of the closest related dolphin species to orcas. So they are oceanic dolphins, which are toothed whales, as we mentioned a little bit earlier on. And they were first described as a species in 2005. We're getting a lot of these like lesser known species uh, being ones that we found out recently. So the Latin name, as I'm seeing appear on my screen here, is Orcele uh, insoni. I hope I pronounced that right. Probably don't.
Yeah. Yeah, probably not, but I could see a few different pronunciations, so
Yeah,
it is the way it is. We're not Latin speakers.
yeah. But heck, I think we both struggle with some English words as well. I mean,
That's fair.
I definitely can't mention what was that word earlier? The one with the S.
Jurisdiction.
Yeah, I couldn't pronounce that. That's a weirdly spelt word. So
Well, I mean, and that is, like, coming from Latin too.
a lot of things are actually.
Well, English can draw something like 50% of its words back to Latin, um, and it's either through, either directly from Latin or, through like the different Romance languages because English has borrowed so much from different languages. So there is a lot of Latin, but also a lot of Germanic. So it's like English is just such a hodgepodge. I understand why a
It
lot of
really is.
people have trouble learning English, because there is just so much, contradiction in English. And I take a lot of it for granted, having just grown up learning it, but, understanding that there's a lot of stuff that doesn't make intuitive sense at all about English.
Oh yeah, for sure. So these Australian snubfin dolphins are found around the north coast of Australia and around Papua New Guinea. They also live in coastal waters and estuaries. They don't live too far out to sea. They live very close to like the shorelines and in quite shallow water. They eat small fish, cephalopods, and shrimp. And to be able to be able to tell what they are, well, to identify them, they have a very small beak and have melon-shaped heads. They are bluish gray in color, and they have large rounded flippers. They also have very small triangular dorsal fins that are quite far back. They almost look, I think they look similar to the body plan of a humpback dolphin when it comes to the dorsal fin position. They also have very small flukes.
Yeah, and I mean, and also like like at least from the silhouette on the WDC site, the pectoral fins almost kind of feel like they're like positioned down like a beluga. Like a beluga feels like their pectorals are kind of low too. But yeah, it's got more of that like swept back small, dorsal fin. Yeah, and they like, their faces look kinda weird, weird because like, like, when I first I think what kinda drew me to them was when I first looked at it, it looked like it kinda looked like a bottlenose dolphin, but that it had its nose cut off.
Yeah, actually, yeah, I kind of got a very similar sense to that as well.
And also, like, very similar gray color, to to a bottlenose dolphin as well, so, like, didn't hurt the comparison there.
I should go and picture this. Um, I think I might in post. I might in post. I don't do a
Yeah.
lot of post on post editing on the podcast. I think I might this time. Just include like a picture of it. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, it's podcast is meant to be an audio thing. Um, so interesting information is that they are surface active, pretty surface active actually, but they are actually quite shy of people. So they won't be surface active when there's boats around,
Mhm,
which makes you wonder how how do we know they're surface active? I'm gonna go out on a limb and say we probably know that they're surface active based on shore-based reports.
mhm.
G-
I I would also wager that this is probably a opportunity for, drone-based research as well.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity for drone-based research and institution research just in general nowadays.
Mhm,
It's drones drones being used in uh, cetacean research. It's been a game changer. It's probably been the. I don't think I'm overreaching when I say this has probably been one of the biggest advancements in cetacean research techniques, like potentially ever.
mhm,
Because if we're trying to make observation based, if we're trying to study based on observation, a drone's gonna basically double the planes that we have available to us.
yeah,
So
mhm,
currently on a boat, we literally only have like what's on the surface and
mhm.
in one plane of view.
Yeah, and you only have so tall that you can, make a lookout, mast, so, your
Yeah.
range is always gonna be limited, but, even just being able to send a drone up 50 feet or 100 feet above you, even without sending it out, over the water, you're gonna gain miles and miles of viewpoint or of view,
Yeah,
and
it's a
you're going to
distance it
get
can
more
go
of
as
that.
well.
Yeah, and more of that depth looking into the water as well.
Even if your drone can only see like 3, maybe even 5 meters depth
Mm,
from the air in the water, usually that's enough to be able to tell interactions. And
mm,
you know, I'd love what I'd love to see in like orca research, for instance, is I'd love to see someone come up with an ID catalog
mhm.
from above,
Yeah.
like drone based sighting. Now, for this to work, they would have to definitely have um, observers from the boat to confirm the identities of the individuals in real time with the drone also looking at those same individuals.
Mhm.
But that would then make it easier in the future to be able to identify which individuals are associating with which. If they don't, like, if they decide not to make it easy for you to see, like dorsal fins or eye patches. So, back to the snub-nosed dolphins. Um, so our last point on it is actually the threats, and these dolphins kind of face some pretty bad threats. Um, so they've been protected in various places by marine reserves. Um, there are estimated to be thousands of them, but they're still in decline despite these marine reserves. the biggest issues facing them really come from their living closer shores in estuaries and therefore coming into contact with a lot of human activities such as fishing boats. Nets are extremely hazardous as well. um, and there's also secondary effects of habitat alteration and destruction and the humanization of coastal areas. And I think the humanization of coastal areas is not something we talk about that much when it comes to cetaceans, mostly because I think we've not covered many species that are very close to living, very much living close to the shore. I think
Yeah.
I think though it has to be said that that can be really hard. Like that can be hard on a species to recover from. Is the humanization and habitat alteration. And there's no better example of a species that has to deal with humanity's influence as the Yangtze River dolphin, which became extinct this century. So,
Mhm.
do you have anything more I know you're like, are you adding stuff to the notes?
Nope. I think
Okay.
I think we are good. I think you covered everything I was interested in about with the Australian snubfin dolphin. I think it's a really cool dolphin, and you know, I think we've ended up hitting a lot of like Asia Pacific or Australia species for the lesser known species, and that's probably because there's been, maybe there's been less focus or less access available in some of those areas, and that's
Oh,
why we're seeing
for
a lot
sure.
more advancements in those areas right now, but also just species that we're not aware of because for both of us, our closest ocean is the Atlantic. So,
Well,
and
the other thing is a lot of the species that we covered have been rather recently described,
yeah, that is also fair.
like within this century. Like for instance, here, like 2005, like
Hmm.
rice whale was only officially, I think it was in the 2020s. The rice whale was only officially
Yeah.
described, right?
Hmm.
The
Or like
Amara's whale as
late
well.
2010s, but yeah.
Yeah, we need to find a species where it's northern hemisphere.
Okay.
It's somewhat it's somewhat around where we live.
Okay. Something
That's a
that we
challenge.
should something
Something
that we should know about, but we don't.
Yeah, something we've been
Okay.
kind of sleeping on.
Yeah, I like that. So probably
I think
something Gulf of Mex. So something probably Gulf of Mexico or Atlantic Ocean or Mediterranean, maybe even like North Sea.
I think I know what you're gonna sell on,
We'll see.
and I think I'm gonna say no to it because it's actually known enough.
Well, we'll find out. I'll dig in at some point in the next week and find out what our lesser known species will be.
Yeah, we'll see. Okay, so yeah, I think we're gonna call it there for the podcast. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you everyone for listening. Podcast is meant to be listened to. Um, but if you want to watch visually, I mean, by all means, this is something you can always have on the in the background. Um, so
All right,
if
well,
you
been a fun episode.
yeah, if you did like this episode, subscribe to the Well Talk Podcast YouTube channel. That definitely helps us, and we've grown our audience the last
Mhm.
month. We've grown our audience,
Yep. And
and
if you're still here, if you're still here in the comments, Leave us your best whale fact.
I wanna see, like, so many different whale facts, so many different types of
Yep.
whale facts.
Let us know that you listened to the end by putting a whale fact in, and we'll pick one and feature it next month.
They can they can be, like, really, really scientifically heavy whale facts. They can also be the most obvious thing that no one thought to even question. That can be a whale fact as well, and
But
we
something
use
that makes us laugh, much
yeah,
more likely to get picked.
yeah, for
So give
sure.
it to us. Give it to us. Give us your best.
Such as humpback whales being public transport for barnacles. So, I keep forgetting the I do this every time, I keep forgetting the command.
Yeah, every month. You need to write it on a Post-it note and just put it on the bottom of
It's
your
podcast send.
monitor.
Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching, and, I think I have to wait 10 seconds. Yes, I have to wait 10 seconds. Waiting 10
Mhm.
seconds. Dude,
But we
give
will
us the
see
shock
you.
fact, go. 3 seconds. Too late.
Shark fact? Uh, Sharks are cool. Like, they're a little weird, but they're kinda cool.
I agree.